Hey, you guys, this is Valerie Z.
And this is Ilka D. And this is the Unscripted podcast,
where we empower you to speak your truth by tapping in to your authenticity. Hey, you guys, this is Valerie Z.
Hey, this is Ilka D. And this is this week's episode of
Unscripted podcast.
Unscripted podcast.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Like, what are we doing?
That's a really good question. So I guess before we get into that, we can start out with, why did we choose to do this?
Why? Why is a big question. Why is such a big question? But I think the quick answer to that is because, at least for me, I feel like I need to be unscripted. I feel like the work that we've been doing together has allowed me to literally go off script. Off script meaning what society expected me to do, what my parents expected me to do, what I expected me to do in life has not exactly gone that way. And in fact, it's what brought me to you, right? The fact that my life wasn't going according to my script. And I started to realize how important it was to actually give yourself the opportunity to go off script, to just be in whatever situation it is that you're dealing with. And I think through the work that we've been doing together, I felt more and more compelled to invite other people to do that because of the relief and also the improvement and the healing that going off script and allowing myself a chance to just be me in this moment and decide what I need to do moving forward. I feel like there is a benefit to the general public to do the same. What about you? What do you think?
Well, yes, and yes, and the why for me, first of all, I have witnessed your evolution in the last few years. I have been blessed with being one of your healing mentors. What I love about you Unscripted is the fact that we can completely be our authentic and vulnerable selves and speak our truth. I think that authenticity is underrated in society. So if we come together and share our stories, I recognize the power in that because people are suffering in silence. There's masses of people that are suffering in silence. And so if we can bring our authentic selves and speak about our inner truth in a way that is vulnerable, in a way that is honest, that can be very healing for so many people.
Absolutely.
And so the why for me is honesty, accountability, vulnerability, and using the power of our voices to help someone else heal.
For sure.
That's my why.
That's big. That's a big why, you guys. Did you hear that? That's a whole big why.
and I get to do that with you.
Hence the ride. So, we want you guys to understand that this entire podcast concept has really come from a legitimate case study of myself. So you guys are going to dive into my brain. You're going to dive into Valerie's brain, our experiences, our past, and what generated the opportunity for us to be in this current state. But also, we want you to feel comfortable sharing with us what you can't share anywhere else. Unscripted is about you. It's about giving you, the whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter whether you're a, billion-dollar entrepreneur and you're sitting right now as we speak in an office full of people, or you're a struggling single mom on the bus somewhere, freaking out because you have no idea how you're going to make ends meet. This literally covers the entire spectrum of people that everyone needs a chance to come off script. And as we go, and if you guys join us every week, you'll notice that we will have a segment in our podcast that's going to be dedicated to a caller. And during that time, we want you guys to have the opportunity to call in and anonymously share your struggle, your pain, your strife, your fears, your happiness, your accomplishments. We want you to share that with people because, I don't know, Val, what do you think? I think more and more people need to feel like they're not the only ones going through what they're going through, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why this is so important is because we recognize the fact that you can't go to a dinner party and be the Debbie Downer. You can't go to happy hour with your friends and share these things with them because you don't want to be the Debbie Downer, right? You want to be there to have a good time and get away and escape and not deal with the stuff that you carry. And then you also don't want to be that person that's always depressed or that always has something negative to say, because you don't want to be, in Spanish, se dice que, la guafiesta.
Exactly.
So we recognize the value in you being able to speak your truth with us as we share ours. But not only that, too, we have to also provide a path forward. We also have to let you know what we've done with ourselves to make peace with our story so that we can move forward and become the best version of ourselves. So this isn't necessarily going to be about calling in and
nobody's bashing. We don't even want to know what these people's names are, because you know what? On this show, we are not going to give any of those people the opportunity to generate recognition or benefit from what they did to you. But we want you to call in and we want you to be honest. We want you to get it off your chest, right? Because, I mean, I think a lot of us have suffered in silence, like Val said. A lot of us have not told the truth about the demon that lays next to you in bed, about the demon that works in the cubicle next to you, about the demon that you may very well feel like that's a child, a relative, a friend, a coworker. It's the surroundings of the world that we live in that cause us our difficulties. These are the people we're interacting with. And we want this show to be about you. We want this show to be about being able to get off your chest what is causing you the weight gain, what is causing you the inability to sleep, what is causing you the pain. And once you do that, as Val very, very accurately mentioned, we cannot sit here and wallow in our shit. We have to be able to move forward. And that is why I am doing this show with Val, because Val helped me get out of that pit that I was in, just rotting away as a human being, because I had not, in my entire life, not just in the 24 years that I was in a horrible relationship, but in the years leading up to that, I had not become strong enough to speak the truth and seek an opportunity for healing earlier on in my life. It took this very tremendous, very insane divorce for me to finally admit I need to start telling the truth. And Valerie helped me do that.
yeah, and let me add to that. Yeah. Let me add to that, because I want you guys to know the power of speaking your truth. Do you realize the power of speaking your truth? Ilka, had you not spoke your truth to Yesenia, she wouldn't have been able to help you in referring you to me.
Shout out Yesenia Gallegos. Hey, only the best attorney in the land. Look, I am beyond. Look, and this is one of the things, you guys, this is one of the things that you will start to see as you start to dig yourself out of this bullshit that is your weight, what is emotionally weighing you down, what is literally holding your soul in shackles. When you start to relieve those pressures, you're going to start to realize who the people in your life are that actually are amazing gifts for them to exist in your trajectory of life. They are the people that are the positive people, the benefit people, the people who love you, who put of their own strength into you. They invest in your well-being because they love you. And it's crazy how easy it is to lose sight of those positive people in your life, to lose sight of the good people, right? Because you're so overwhelmed by the negative bullshit people. And Yesenia Gallegos is an incredible employment law attorney. She is a partner at her law firm, and she's also been my general counsel. In fact, the very first company I opened, she was the reason why I made that jump. And not only has she benefited me in life as a friend and as a professional, just she's an astounding legal professional. But on top of that, she became my family. And when she saw me just destroying myself with grief and sadness, she told me one day, she called me up and she didn't give me a choice. She said, you know what? I'm not asking you. I'm literally telling you that I'm going to put you in contact with my friend Valerie Z, and you are going to change your life. This has got to stop because you are so much more than what is happening to you right now. And it's painful for me to see you go through this and not be able to see yourself, not be able to see who you are, how strong and powerful you are, what an amazing human being you are. And you guys, look, real shit. You could have told me any of that. God himself could have come down from heaven, and I don't think that I would have seen it. I wouldn't have treasured it. I wouldn't have been able to make use of it because I was so lost in my own struggle, unbeknownst to anyone. Because from the outside, oh man, from the outside, look, let me tell you something. It looked like I had a match made in heaven. It looked like I had the perfect family. It looked like I had the perfect jobs. It looked like my life was absolutely phenomenal. And that was furthest from the truth. Connecting with Valerie is what helped me. Literally in the first 30 seconds that I spoke to this woman on the phone, it changed my life. And so, yeah, You Unscripted is not about how Valerie saved me, because she did, but it is about how you can save yourself by allowing yourself an opportunity to start relieving your soul of the innumerable things that you have swallowed up because you don't want someone to see you negatively. You don't want someone to see your partner negatively. You don't want someone to be hurt by your truth. You don't want someone to think that you're not worthy or incapable because of your truth. So you just harbor and harbor and harbor these things alone. And that is what Valerie has taught me to eliminate. And by eliminating it, to start opening my life up to healing.
That's beautiful, Ilka. The power of speaking your truth, you guys, is, Ilka, the fact that you spoke your truth and Yesenia referred you to me, says it all, right? The power of speaking your truth, finally opening up to somebody and saying, hey, I am suffering, and here's why. This is what I've been carrying for years, and nobody knows. Suffering in silence takes a toll on your soul. The reason why Yesenia referred Ilka to me is because several years ago, I created a coaching program called Spiritual Cardio. Spiritual Cardio is a coaching program that I designed based on my own healing journey, because I was suffering in silence for many, many years. I carried so much shame and self-hate. And at some point, I realized that I couldn't escape myself. I would drink heavily to try and escape a feeling within me that just I couldn't get away from. And when I started recognizing that, I realized that I can't escape my inner child. I cannot escape this self-hate. I cannot escape this shame that is buried in my heart. And so when I started realizing that, I started working on myself. When I recognized that I hated that little girl inside of me and that I couldn't escape her, something within me changed. To realize that you hate yourself is bittersweet. because for one, you want to change that. When I realized that I hated myself, I did not want to hate myself from that moment forward. And I was on a trajectory to find self-love if it was the very last thing that I did. And so from there, I created spiritual cardio after many years of therapy, many years of spirituality. And spiritual cardio is a powerful coaching program designed to help people make peace with their inner truth because it helped me. And I didn't create spiritual cardio. It's nothing new, right? Spiritual practices rooted in self-inquiry, in forgiveness, in prayer, in meditation, journaling. It's nothing new, but the power of testimony is something that is valuable because not only do you give people a testimony that ignites courage, but you also inspire them because then they realize if she can heal that shit, then I can heal my shit. And so that's collective healing.
That part. Did you guys hear that? If she can heal that shit, I can heal my shit. Like, look, I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on therapy. And I have seen therapists before in all sorts of different scenarios. And first and foremost, you guys, like, I realize that the majority of this country, in fact, most countries around the world, most people have been sidetracked about the power of therapy because there was this perception that has been sold to society worldwide that if you were seeing a therapist, it's because there was something wrong with you. Let me turn this around in another direction. If you're not seeing a therapist, there is something wrong with you.
Yes.
Because if you're not trying, and I mean, look, a therapist doesn't have to be a licensed therapist. A therapist can be a friend who is just really great at listening to you and doesn't tell you what to do, but helps you think through the things that are happening to you, helps provide you with tools to better understand what's happening and process that in a way that even if negative, you can still find a positive way out of that thought process or feeling. A therapist does not mean that you are crazy, insane. And if you are, see a therapist, because I'm sure you know if you're fucking crazy and insane because you're having a really hard time living life to everyone else's standard, right? You're not fitting in society. Hey, it's okay. Whatever your situation is, it's okay. If you are a human being living this life, you have a reason to find a person who can help you be better at being you. And that's where therapy starts. And so unfortunately, the negative connotation of therapy has forced people away from the concept of sharing the negative things that are happening in their lives with someone who can help you. It's okay. None of us were born with, moms are the only people that get to say, oh, I wasn't, nobody gave me a manual on how to be your mother or your father, right? Parents in general, right? We've all heard somebody say that at one point or another, right, Val?
Yeah.
No, but you didn't come with a instruction manual. Right, but neither did life. Life didn't come with an instruction manual. We don't get to say, I didn't know that I was hurting you and get away with it. We don't get to say, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that, and then just walk away from that. Because that's not how it works. We have to take responsibility for our role. That's it. That's what therapy is about, you guys. It's about you. It's about you. It's not about what anyone else did to you. It's about what you did in all of those situations or what you didn't do, which in my case is more the case. What I didn't do, what I didn't say, the fact that I didn't seek help, the fact that I didn't feel worthy of help after a lifetime of pain.
Ooh, that's deep. The fact that you don't feel worthy of help, that resonates deeply.
And I wouldn't have said that ever because I was raised in a way, I was raised to have a perception, I guess, that to be good, to be successful meant that everything in your life was perfect. It meant that you had the perfect partner. It meant that you had the perfect job. It meant that you had the perfect kids. It meant that you had the perfect everything. You went on the perfect vacation. You ate at the perfect restaurant. You wore the perfect clothes. Like, come on, man. I know for all of you people listening right now, that does not exist. Val, does that exist?
No.
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 No. What the fuck? No. Perfect. Look. You know what perfect is? Perfect is your imperfection. Your imperfection is what makes you perfect because your imperfection is what makes you you.
Your humanity is what makes you imperfect, and that's what your beauty is.
Absolutely.
That is beauty right there. And here's the thing, is to make peace with your humanity. That is beautiful. To take accountability for your humanity, that is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Right? The fact that you can raise your hand and say, hey, you know what? That wasn't cool. I shouldn't have said that.
Mm-hmm.
My bad.
Mm-hmm.
My bad. And you know what? I'm sorry I made you feel that way.
What the fuck? An apology? What the fuck are we talking about right now? This is like, right? Mind altering.
And here's the thing too. When you've worked on yourself so much and you can raise your hand and take accountability and you're not consumed by shame, that is when you know you are in a very sweet spot of your emotional maturity. That's when you know that you have grown. When you're not consumed by shame, when you take accountability for your actions. Shame is a very insidious and dark emotion. So if you have not made peace with your story or your inner truth, you probably know what shame is. You are either running away from it or you are running towards it, trying to heal it. And that's why spiritual cardio was created, is because I got so tired of running from myself that I started running towards the shame. I finally said, fuck this. I want to go in deep. I started going to therapy and I admitted the things in therapy that I tried to bury and run away from. And they were things that happened to me when I was... There were things that happened to me when I was 5 years old. And I did not want to deal. I wanted to suppress. I wanted to run. I wanted to bury it. And I started realizing that that was driving my behavior. I wanted to change it. So I got to the point where I started running towards those memories. And that changed my life. That's why I created spiritual cardio. That's why I started the spiritual cardio podcast. And that's what brought Ilka to me.
This podcast, this show is about you, the human dynamic, you, the soul, you, the spirit, you, the individual, because it's who we surround ourselves with. It's what conditions or situations we put that you in that creates our life. And when you're creating a life, you're not sitting there literally thinking about the next second. What am I going to do the next second? How am I going to build this? How am I going to architect this life of mine, right? We're not taught that. We are literally, you're born and you just start living and you make the best of it. You start to realize that you got to make friends in order to function in society. You got to do good in school. You just start growing through all of these conditions that the external world imposes on you. Somewhere along the line, at various points, you start to realize that this is painful. Living is not easy. Functioning in society does not come without its pangs and knocks and falls and bruises and gashing, bleeding holes in the middle of your soul. Like, it's hard. Life is hard, but it doesn't have to be. And that's something that we're never taught. when I got sick and tired of it, I didn't just get one therapist. Like I literally have 3 therapists right now. And not because I'm that fucked off, but because I want that badly to do the work and I don't want to leave a stone unturned. Because at this stage in my life, I am never going to make the same mistakes that I made before. And I want very much the work that I'm doing with Valerie to continue, because it's not enough, right? You don't go to a therapist like a therapist is going to fix it. You are the only person that can fix it. The therapist is not going to fix it. You're going to fix it. But what happens when you start speaking to somebody that you can relate to, that's when the lock finally unlocks to your inner self. That's when the healing starts, is when someone's voice, whoever that is, whoever that person is that can help you hear your inner self, that can help you really face your emotions and your thoughts, that's when the work starts. And let me tell you guys, the work is not easy, bro. Not in the least, not even a little bit. It is not for the faint of heart, and it is not for the weak, because you're going to realize how much of you really need to improve. And that's kind of an overwhelming moment too, when you realize, shit, this goes way back. You know, you have a moment, you have a thought process, you have a moment in time that you're processing, right? It starts that way. You start processing this pain, whether it's a breakup, whether it's a death, whether it's a loss of a job, a loss of a friend, a loss of an animal, whatever that pain is. When you start to actually process that, that's when you realize, oh, whoa, wait a minute. This is not an individual, isolated circumstance. This has something to do with something that happened before. And then you start following that string, and before you know it, you're like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm all the way back the fuck there. And now you're like, shit, they're like, nope, you know what? Fuck this. This is just way too much. But then Valerie calls you on the phone and says, yo, we still have another session. You haven't called me back. We need to schedule. I'm not going to let you run away from this. And like that right there, you guys, like that, you know, she could have easily been like, oh, okay, well, she didn't call me back. Well, fuck it. But that's not her role. That's not her role in what she has set out to accomplish with people and for herself, because of herself. She's going to chase you down to do the work on you. She's going to not let you do what you've done to yourself, which is to continue to escape yourself. She's not going to let you escape you. She's not going to let you get away from the work you have to do. No one can force you. Know this, you guys. No one can force you to do the work. That's a fact. But you want someone who is committed to helping you literally uncover yourself from the depths of your own shit. And when she does come after you and you do finally schedule that next meeting, you do a little bit more work. And that is why we're on this show today. That's why we're here. Because I've done a little bit more work and a little bit more work and a little bit more work. And like,
it snowballs. The effects of that work snowballs.
Absolutely. I am now in a position where 2 years ago, had I even thought about this stuff, I would be crying for 17 hours, despite the fact that I'm showing up on other podcasts, I'm doing interviews, I'm going to events, I'm, flying around the world, I've got clients everywhere. I'm showing up with the face that my clients want to see, guarantee. Like, I'm good at that. Like, I think you guys have gotten good at that. Like, I think Val got good at that, right? All of us are really good at showing up and putting that perfect face on, like, everything's good. What the fuck? I'm good. How are you? What? Your life? I'm fucking awesome. My shit is banging. I'm making money. I got clients. My kids are good. My house is good. I'm about to take my family to Europe. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Everything's great. All lies. All lies. They were all lies. And when you start to realize that you're fucking lying to yourself, damn, you cannot hide.
That's why speaking your truth is so powerful. Because when you start getting radically honest with yourself about the things that you are trying to run from, that are stored in your heart, your life changes. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first. It's fucking dark and it's heavy. But can you imagine the liberation once you let that go?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can breathe.
You can breathe. Your shoulders feel less heavy. Your energy isn't dark anymore and dense. That's why I created the coaching program, is because I became a completely different person. And of course, I'm not saying that you become this perfect human being. Absolutely not. Perfection does not exist. But I'm very comfortable with my humanness. I'm very comfortable with my flaws. I can speak to them. I can apologize for them without being consumed by shame. That wasn't me before. So there's so much beauty and benefits with getting honest with yourself, with being real. It starts with you, and then you can be real with the rest of the world. Then you can show up authentically because you've already made peace with all of your insecurities, with all of those memories that created self-hate and shame. Imagine that. You show up authentically. You show up unapologetically. And here's the thing, too, is that you don't have to front behind this huge inflated ego. You have humility.
Don't be a poser.
We need more humility in the world.
Look, humility is a really big word. I think that's really interesting. Like, to give you guys some background and tell you a little bit about where I'm coming from on this. So I work in the public space. I work with a lot of individuals who are in the public eye. And I am usually in a management or partnership role where I'm managing people's careers. I'm improving on their positions, their businesses, taking their businesses from a position where they're losing money and they're not generating positive revenue to a point where they are generating positive revenue, so much so that they expand. I'm in this business of fixing, helping, developing, and making people successful. And when you are in that role, the crazy thing about that is that you're there to fix something. You're there to improve on someone's life. You're there to save the day. And that's always a positive. The negative about being in that role is that you have to oftentimes point out something that hasn't been done, that was done incorrectly, or that could have been done better, right? And so that part becomes hard because then what happens to the other person on the other side of this conversation, or the team or the company or the board of directors or whoever it is that I'm working with, right? Whoever has to hear this information. Hey, I've done my assessment. I've got my information and I see where things went wrong. Immediately what happens is that they get defensive. Immediately, you're literally paying me thousands of dollars to do my job. And the second that I start doing my job, you're fucking pissed off at me because I have to point out that someone on your side didn't exactly do what we needed to do. When I started this process of healing, it became very clear to me that I'm no different than all of those people because I do that with me. The second something comes too close to a pressure point, a pain point, to an authentic truth in my life, I have to push it off. I push it off. I immediately become defensive. My walls go up like, You're not going to come at me and tell me some shit. The fuck? Right? No. That is how things continue to be bad. That's how things continue to be bad in your life because you're not willing. You're not willing to accept that you have something to fix. doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you horrible. It doesn't make you anything. It makes you human to have something that you need to fix. But the second that somebody says that to you, no matter how respectfully, no matter how kind, no matter how genuine they say it to you, the human dynamic immediately gets defensive. You get this immediate physical recoil, not to mention spiritually. You put up just like it becomes the US Mint in there. Nothing's getting out, nothing's getting in, like you're done. And that is the first breakdown in the process of your strength and your power as a human. And I know it sounds crazy, you guys, but it's not. It's not. And that is what Valerie helped me unlock. That is why we are doing this show, because I have been so profoundly impacted by the ability to hold myself accountable for my own shit and realizing what that was creating in my life and what nasty, goopy, gangrenous internal hell I was continuing to exacerbate. I was continuing to fuel in my life because I wasn't willing to accept my own accountability, that I need to do this with all of you. I need to also allow someone with Valerie's help to also one day wake up and go, damn, I did that shit to myself. I could have walked away. I could have shut the door on that. I could have loved myself enough to choose myself, to choose what was better for me. But instead of doing that, I was so worried about failing someone else. I was so worried about what that person would think of me that I literally threw myself on the railroad track and allowed the train to run me over and over and over and over and over and over my whole fucking life. Like, enough, you guys, enough. And Valerie helped me do that. And Valerie is my therapist, but she is not a psychologist. She's not a licensed social worker. She's not a marriage and family therapist. I've got those too. Don't trip. But it took a singular human being who had undergone her own struggle, her own intense, ridiculous, what the fuck struggle, and survived on her own, right? It took the lack of resources for her to develop what she developed that eventually helped me. When she created spiritual cardio because of her own experiences, when she developed a way to get through her own pain and to get to a point of productivity, to get to a point of growth, to get to a point of new life, she felt so moved by that she created a program that has now helped thousands of people. Like, that's how I also reached my epiphany. And I too am so profoundly impacted by that through these conversations and through the relationship that we have created, we decided to do the show because it's important. It's important for you to realize that it's okay for you to be unscripted. It's okay for your life to go off track, for your goals to go off track, for whatever it is that you're doing to not necessarily happen perfectly. It's okay. Don't expect that of yourself because you're doing to yourself what everyone else has done to you. And that is what Valerie taught me how to free myself of that stress, that expectation. It's okay to expect of yourself, but God, when was the last time that you guys gave yourself some grace? Do you even know what that means? What does that mean, Val? Tell people, what does it mean to give yourself grace?
In order to give yourself true grace, you have to stop running from yourself. You have to face your truth. And in facing your truth, you recognize that you have some cracks. And in those cracks is where you finally allow the light to come in. And those cracks are traumas. Those cracks are maybe memories of the past, of childhood, of things that you don't want to remember. And it's giving those memories, those traumas, room to breathe, room to come alive, room to speak. If you allow that inner child who was abused to speak once and for all because she or he was silenced for so many years, who grew up in dysfunction and toxicity, surviving abuse, and you finally allow her or him to use their voice to tell their story, that is giving yourself grace. Because that voice needs to be heard. That is why there's so many people suffering, is because we were silenced as children and we were abused and we stuffed it and we suppressed it and we just think we minimize it because we think, well, everybody has trauma. So why is mine so special? But the thing is that suppressed energy, that suppressed pain is driving our behavior. And it's driving the lack of self-worth, the lack of self-esteem. I used to walk through life not realizing that I was deserving of respect. Can you imagine that? Going through life not realizing that you deserve to be treated well or that you are deserving of self-worth. Like, I was so used to being abused and so used to being intimidated and disrespected all throughout growing up, all throughout childhood, that I didn't know that I was worthy of respect.
Such a huge statement. I did not know that I was worthy of respect. How many of you out there, literally, as you're sitting there in your cars or in your homes or wherever you're at that you're hearing this, how many of you have ever felt like you don't deserve respect? I'll give you an example. You're at work. Your boss is having a bad day. God knows what's really happening behind the scenes, right, in their personal life. But they're going to come to work and they're going to enact their authority, right? This authoritarian way. I'm the boss, so you got to do this. And this motherfucker comes up to you and says some fucked up shit to you. Completely like, what the fuck? Like, damn, all I did was do exactly what they told me. But yet I'm getting told off. I'm getting embarrassed in front of my coworkers. I'm getting demeaned. What? You don't deserve that. That's not okay for that person to do that. But what are we taught? We're taught, nope, that's the boss. You better keep your mouth shut because if you say something, that's your ass. That's your job, right? So you accept the disrespect. You accept the mistreatment. You accept the abuse because we will, you guys, we will. In our next show, oh yeah, we're going to define what abuse really means. And you're going to trip the fuck out because you're going to realize how widespread abuse really is and how much we tolerate it because we don't feel that we are worthy of self-worth and we don't feel like we're worthy of respect. Huge statement, Val.
Yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because the person I am today, took a lot of work to walk through life with my head held high, knowing that I am worthy of respect and that I am worthy of being surrounded by healthy people who love me, who support me, and above all, who respect me, right? Because I didn't grow up with that. I did not grow up with that. So that's why I'm so passionate about spiritual cardio. That's why I'm so passionate about the hypnotherapy too. I recently, this is very new, within the last 2 months, I got certified to do hypnotherapy. That is a game changer, you guys.
It really is.
Hypnotherapy reprograms your subconscious mind from disempowering you to pushing you forward.
It's a trip. Look, I'm going to be honest, because that's what the show is about. When Valerie told me that she had gotten certified in hypnotherapy, there was a literal moment where I was like, what? Oh, Jesus.
I was like, let me practice on you.
I was like, what? She's like, when are we going to schedule? I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, because, hey, I've got degrees, I've got education, I've got all this world experience, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know everything. And yes, I was still unaware and uneducated about what this was really about. I was under the impression that I was literally going to be put under hypnosis. And, how do I know this chick's going to make me start barking like a chicken? Like, what the fuck? Ain't nobody trying to do that. So I was anti. However, one of the things about this process that, back to Yesenia Gallegos, lawyer with the mostest, right? I saw the transformation of her own life after working with Valerie. Even though I didn't know that she was working with somebody, I just saw this very marked, incredible change in her demeanor and her happiness and her confidence. And just, it was amazing. She was beaming. So I keep telling myself through this process, like, I have to trust. I have to trust. I have to trust that this is a good thing because Val's onto something. So like, she wouldn't have done this if it wasn't beneficial. So I said yes. And I was shitting a brick because I'm like, oh God, now I don't even know what's going to happen to me. I'm not going to be able to control my own body or my own self or my own thoughts. Completely untrue. It is literally a partnership. You have to be willing to change the misbeliefs that you created in your own life. It's literally basically a process where you stop lying to yourself. You stop telling yourself negative things. You stop believing negative things about yourself because of something old that happened, right? Val will take you into the depths of your subconscious and actually help you believe the truth. And that is crazy, but it works.
Hypnotherapy is not what you see in the movies. It's nothing like that at all. You are conscious. You are just in a relaxed meditative state. And
Facts.
You really don't have to do anything. You just have to allow the truth to surface and then just leave the rest up to me. And what we do is that when that truth surfaces, there's certain narratives that are formed because of that truth, because of that memory. And so what we do is we reprogram that negative. We reframe that negative. So now it's no longer, I'm not worthy of love. That's an example. Now we reprogram that narrative to, I am worthy of love because I exist, simply because I exist. So we change the narrative around those limiting beliefs. And we do that by building a rapport with the subconscious mind. It is powerful. Hypnotherapy has transformed my life. And so that's why I decided to get certified.
And mine. So amen. Because whatever she does benefits me. And I'm at a point now where I'm so open to anything really that's going to improve my own perception of myself and improve my self-worth and my self-love that, you just have to believe, you guys, that the perception and condition of your emotions is literally up to you. You have a choice. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to hurt. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be sad or angry or feel betrayed or all of those things. Yes, of course, you're human. And it is, quite frankly, a beautiful thing to feel, to have the emotions, to go through all of those different things, good and bad. But you have a choice whether or not you want to stay in many of those negative thoughts. You have a choice. And when you start realizing that you can make a choice, even the choice to listen to this podcast every week, put it on replay, right? If you don't have a someone, well, now you do. You've got Valerie, you've got me. You can listen to this podcast every week and you can hear these words about how you have the power to change your condition. And if we can help one person, even if you are in the most remote place in the world, and we can help you gain control and gain love for yourself through our experiences, then this entire effort was completely worth it. And we want you guys to tune in every week. We want to hear from you. When we start taking callers, we want you to call in because we want to hear what is happening, what you're going through. And we're here. We're here to listen to you. We're here to validate what's happening to you because we've probably been through it. And that's the crazy thing about the human dynamic is how profound we can handle pain and loss and how good we are at keeping it to ourselves and how bad that is for us. This show, Unscripted, is here for you guys. It's here for you to share with us. It's here for us to share with you. And we're going to be here every week. So, Val, thank you for our first episode Hey! First episode in the can. Soon we will be going to our video episodes, so you guys will actually be able to see the podcast. But we're excited about doing what we both feel is God's work, life's work. No matter what God you pray to, listen to, support, no matter what rules you follow, no matter what political party you are, no matter who you love, no matter, what any of those things are, you are beautiful in yourself. You are a beautiful human being, and we're here to help you realize that.
We want to help you transform your life. Internal success radiates into any other success that you have in your life. And if there's one thing that you can take with you after this episode, it's don't be afraid to face yourself. Don't be afraid to face your truth. Your truth, as scary as it is, it will set you free, because that truth has the answers as to why you are not happy internally. And I know that from experience. That's why I created the coaching program that I created. That's why I started my other podcast, is to spread the wisdom of what I've learned from facing my truth. It's not this scary boogeyman that you think that it is. It is something that you will pull out of the closet. You will examine it. You will interrogate it. And in the process of that, you will befriend it, because it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that it has a voice and it needs to speak, because there's pain there. And when you nurture that pain, you will heal that pain. And upon healing that pain, you tap into the joy and the light that is at the very center of your heart. And that's why I am so passionate about this. And Ilka, I want to say thank you for doing this with me, because I think that the power of your energy and my energy, because you are a powerhouse, I think that we can create something very beautiful and help many people know that they are not alone, and we're here to help.
Absolutely. And that's why, you guys, I can't wait to be here again with you guys next week. This is Ilka de Leon.
And this is Valerie Z. And this is the Unscripted podcast.
Hey, we'll see you guys next week. Have a blessed one.